She was 92 years old. The doctor took an X-ray and found a baby that had been inside her for over 60 years. Okay, so picture this. A 92-year-old woman named Estella Melendez is living quietly in San Antonio, Chile. She takes a fall at home, not a dramatic tumble, just the kind of fall that worries you when someone is in their 90s. Her family rushes her to the hospital Claudio Vicuña. The doctors run some X-rays, mainly to check if anything is broken. Her arm had a minor injury, fine, manageable. But then one of the doctors stares at the X-ray a little longer than usual. Something else shows up on the scan, something that has absolutely no business being there. A fully calcified fetus outside her uterus, weighing 4.4 pounds, and based on everything the doctors could piece together, it had been sitting inside her abdomen for somewhere between 60 to 75 years. Let that sink in for a second. This woman had been unknowingly carrying what doctors call a lithopedion, a stone baby, since she was in her 20s or 30s. She had gone through decades of her life, raised a family, aged, and none of it had given any sign that something like this was inside her. No major pain, no visible swelling she could explain, nothing that would make anyone think, hey, I should probably get an X-ray. And then one fall, one unrelated minor fall, and suddenly the world finds out. What even is a stone baby? Alright, so here's where it gets medically wild. A lithopedion. The word itself comes from the Greek lithos, meaning stone, and pedion, meaning child, is what happens when a pregnancy goes wrong in a very specific and incredibly rare way. It starts with what's called an ectopic pregnancy. Normally, a fertilized egg travels down the fallopian tube and implants in the uterus, but in some cases, it gets stuck and implants somewhere else, the fallopian tube itself, the ovary, or in rarer cases, somewhere in the abdominal cavity, like near the bowel, or even on major blood vessels. This is what's known as an abdominal ectopic pregnancy, and it's already extraordinarily uncommon, happening in roughly 1 in every 10,000 to 11,000 pregnancies. When this type of pregnancy fails and the fetus dies, the body faces a problem. The fetus is too large to simply absorb back into the system the way smaller tissue might be, and if it's left there to decompose, it becomes a serious infection risk, potentially fatal for the mother. So the body does something remarkable, almost like a biological defense mechanism. It begins coating the dead fetal tissue in calcium deposits, slowly encasing it in a hard mineral shell. Over months and years, the fetus becomes calcified, essentially petrified, and the body seals it off, treating it almost like a foreign object that needs to be contained. That's a stone baby, and once it's calcified, it can sit there, quietly, harmlessly in many cases, for decades. Back to Estella, the woman at the center of all. This here's what makes her story hit differently than just a medical curiosity. Estella Melendez herself said she remembered being pregnant when she was younger. She mentioned that she had become pregnant at around age 17, and at some point during that pregnancy, something went wrong. The pain came, and then eventually stopped. The baby stopped moving. She assumed, as many women in rural areas with limited medical access would have at the time, that she had lost the pregnancy, a miscarriage. Heartbreaking, but not uncommon, and without modern ultrasound technology or easy access to a hospital, there was no way to know what had actually happened inside her body. What had actually happened was that the fetus had died during an abdominal pregnancy, and over the following years, then decades, her body had slowly calcified it. By the time doctors found it in 2015, the fetus was described by hospital director Mario Vargas Lazo as large and developed, likely having died at around 7 months of gestation. It occupied a significant portion of her abdominal cavity. And here's the thing that really gets you. The doctors decided not to surgically remove it. Because of her age, 92 years old, the risks of surgery were simply too high. The calcified fetus wasn't causing her immediate harm, so they treated her fall, made sure she was stable, and sent her home. She left the hospital the same day, with the stone baby still inside her, as it had been for over 6 decades. How rare are we talking? When people say rare, they usually mean a few thousand cases out of millions. This is not that. A 1996 paper published in the Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine documented that only 290 cases of lithopedion had ever been recorded in all of medical literature at that point. More recent estimates place the total number somewhere between 300 and 400 confirmed cases ever across all of recorded human history. Not per year, not per decade. ever. To give you a sense of the math, abdominal pregnancies themselves only occur in about 1 in every 10,000 to 11,000 pregnancies, and lithopedion only develops in about 1.5 to 1.8% of those abdominal pregnancies. So the likelihood of this actually happening to anyone is vanishingly small. It occurs in approximately 0.0054% of all gestations. You are statistically more likely to be struck by lightning twice than to develop a stone baby, and yet it has happened multiple times across centuries. This is not a new phenomenon. The earliest documented case in medical literature dates back to 1582. Yes, the 16th century. A French woman named Madame Colombe Chatry was autopsied after her death and found to be carrying a fully developed, calcified fetus in her abdominal cavity. According to historical records, her abdomen had been described as swollen, hard, and painful throughout her life. She had been carrying that stone baby for 28 years. The mean duration of a calcified pregnancy, according to the Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine, is about 22 years. But some women, like Estella Melendez, and another famous case, Huang Yijun, a 92-year-old woman from southern China who made international headlines in 2009, carried their lithopedions for more than half a century. Huang Yijun had kept her calcified fetus for over 60 years before it was discovered and eventually removed. 2 women, both 92, both unaware, both carrying something that their bodies had quietly preserved for longer than most people maintain any single relationship in their lives. The body's quiet, bizarre genius. What strikes you when you really sit with this story is how quietly the human body handled something that would seem catastrophically wrong. There was no dramatic signal, no years of agony. In most documented cases of lithopedion, the women had no idea. The body essentially looked at a situation with no good options, a dead fetus too large to absorb, too dangerous to leave decomposing, and engineered a solution. It mineralized the threat, walled it off, and then went on living. Doctors who study this condition note that in many cases, the lithopedion causes no symptoms at all for the rest of the woman's life. In some cases, it can shift and press on nearby organs as a person ages, causing discomfort or complications like the intestinal obstruction reported in at least one documented case. But in Estella's situation, there was no major ongoing medical crisis directly attributed to it. Her body had essentially made peace with what was inside it. That's not something you can fully wrap your head around, that a biological process this dramatic could be invisible to the person living through it. But that's exactly what happened. It's easy to click on a story like this and treat it like a viral oddity, something to send your friends with a "wait, what?" message. And yeah, it is absolutely wild on that level. But there's something more here worth sitting with. Estella Melendez's story is also a story about limited access to healthcare, about a young woman in mid-20th century rural Chile who had no way to know what was happening inside her body. No ultrasound, no specialist, no follow-up care after a complicated pregnancy. She did what people did. She made sense of it the best she could, assumed she had lost the baby, and moved forward with her life. The stone baby was, in a strange way, a product of that gap between the experience of her body and the medical knowledge she never had access to. In the modern world, where early pregnancy scans are standard, a situation like this would almost certainly be caught and treated before a lithopedion could ever fully form. But there are still places, and still moments in history, not as long ago as you'd think, where women's bodies held mysteries that medicine never got a chance to answer. Estella Melendez walked out of that hospital on the same day her 60-year secret was discovered. She went home. The stone baby went with her. And somewhere in Chile, that quiet, impossible story became part of her life in a way she never could have imagined. Officially documented, medically confirmed, and now a piece of the small, strange, genuinely remarkable history of the human body doing whatever it takes to survive.